So, when you want to move to New York City, there's a few different obstacles that you have to partake in. It is the kind of obstacles that everyone has to partake in because there's only one way to get here, and that is with a lot of money. So, how do you even get the amount of money to even consider moving here in the first place? The average apartment here in New York City is probably going to run the person around, well, between $2,000 and $6,000. Yes, a month, that means you have to flush out between $2,000 and $6,000 just to pay rent. Here in the village, in Greenwich Village, you're looking around closer to $6,000 to be honest. And any other neighborhood like Upper Manhattan, Uptown, that's going to be a little bit less expensive and a little bit more family neighborhood friendly. Right now in the village or in Lower Manhattan, you have all of your commercial or restaurants type of neighborhoods. That's why you're going to pay more for the location. When you hear that kind of price tag, you think, what in the hell? How am I ever going to afford something like that? Good news is, you don't have to pay or actually make that much per month. But what you do have to do is have a lot of money in your savings ready to drop. What I would recommend, you come here with a minimum of $4,000. Make sure that you have at least that in your bank account, because anything less than that is going to leave you scraping by. And I mean, you're already going to be scraping by with that $4,000. What is it going to go to? Your first month's rent, your security deposit, your groceries, and transportation for 1 month. Next thing you're going to want to do is look for something called a sublet, a sublease. You are a subleasee, you're going to sublet an apartment. You're not going to be on a lease, you're not going to sign any kind of lease, you're going to sign a sublease. You're going to be paying for a room inside of an apartment that someone is already leasing. This way, you pay a fraction of what it costs for the whole apartment. Instead, you're just staying inside of the room because you're saying, well, I don't have the salary to pay for this, but I can still pay month to month. And you can't see anything anymore. I'm here by all of these wonderful shops, like this laundromat. That's not a shop, but there's a bunch of shops, I promise. They're very pretty. And then there's apartment complexes right above them. This is why this is my favorite neighborhood that I can't afford yet. The least expensive that you're probably going to find a sublet or a room inside of New York City, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, anything like that is probably going to be around $1,300. That's probably the best average cost that it'll be at COVID times, post-pandemic. That's when you're watching this. The distribution method with your money, as far as the first month that you were here, at least the way that it works for me, I found that it works best when you put in first month's rent, security deposits, groceries, and then you just get a full-time job, anywhere it be, because at least that way you're going to pay rent, and then you won't have to worry about that reoccurring revenue, right? That salary base, that $5,000 a month that you have to worry about. You're going to buy only what you absolutely need, which means you're going to buy groceries, and that's pretty much it. Everything else you're going to come over here with. That way you can reinvest the money that you're making during the day into doing whatever else you need to with savings. Right now, I'm basically in a part of Soho, and all of these stores are right beside me, but I can't purchase anything from them. You see like this retail space here behind me? That's a retail space. It's for lease, and it's probably a good $50,000 a month. So none of us can afford that, and we're leaving. Just promise me one thing, guys. If you come over here, yeah, that place right there, don't work there. Go work at a local coffee shop. When you more or less understand what you actually want to do as far as the job that you want to build goes for, you more or less know how to spend your money in terms of the equipment and things that you need to have to get that. My friend Chich, you might be watching this, dude. He mostly shoots on his phone, and that is because he has access to his phone. You guys need to use whatever you have access to so that you're not constantly thinking that, oh, I am in need of a new camera, or whatever it may be. Random arbitrary example that I'm using for myself. Excuse me, wow, this brightness is all messed up. If you already have something that works for you, use that. That way you don't have to worry about spending and dishing out more money than you're already paying on rent to live in New York City. Not to generally talk down on the tourists that visit New York City. The reason why they're tourists is because they come and the first thing they do is blow all of their money on the things that New York has to offer. And the thing that we have to concentrate on, the locals, the people that move here and want to stay here permanently. The point is, you basically want to avoid any sort of urge ever that makes you want to go into some place and just get a $7 latte or a $40 book that you don't need, or that $5 shirt from the thrift shop that you could get next weekend when you get paid. I would personally say that being able to afford living here isn't necessarily affording the lifestyle that it entails, because you think New York City and you can think suit and tie, Wall Street, diamonds, and a luxurious apartment that you can see the Empire State Building from 2 blocks away. Contrary to popular belief, I think New York City is not impossible to live in or afford, even though people make it seem that way, because it is one of the most expensive places and that is not going to change. But you don't necessarily have to afford it salary based. As long as you can figure out a way to pay month to month, you're all set. And this is the perfect way that has worked out for me, and it is continuing to work for me. Hopefully this advice helps one of you, because it is totally attainable to approach it in this way of how to afford the Big Apple. So what are you waiting for? Come to New York City, find your sublets. I mean, after 33 years of no convenient offer for your guests, why not just give the entire establishment away? 33 years for some brunch?